What if I were to tell you that Oxy, the largest independent oil producer in the United States, will be carbon neutral in both primary and secondary carbon emission? This is the vision of Low Carbon Ventures, and they are using GIS to achieve this incredible goal. Combining two different worlds, such as GIS and Low Carbon Ventures, also known as LCV, was one of the most fascinating and one-of-a-kind union at Oxy's history. Low Carbon Venture was formed in 2018 to answer a call for a carbon neutral operation in the oil and gas industry. One of the main goals was to implement a carbon neutral energy cycle which mimics the natural carbon cycles by pulling CO2 directly from the atmosphere to be sequestered at an industrial scale. This allows us to permanently store captured CO2 in geologic formations in an amount equal to that which is emitted through production, processing, and combustion of oil and fuels. LCV's Vice President for Services was the key connection in this fusion. He is the very same person who hired me many years ago to do GIS for Oxy's operation. When he left my unit and moved to LCV, he brought GIS with him, opening the door for us to be part of something groundbreaking and to be pioneer using GIS in this new field. We were thrilled. At Oxy, GIS is one of our fundamental tools that we utilize in many shapes and forms. We strive to use and leverage this cutting-edge technology and bringing awareness of the capabilities this tool is harboring by teaching, educating, and demonstrating its capabilities. We did exactly this. We were exploring how geospatial information can help expand and reach their capabilities in this new era, and by doing so, we help them to solve spatial problems, like point out cluster, find the shortest path, or discover spatial correlations. It was a difficult task to unpack all the new terms and concepts, but we were armed with the best people in this field. So today, I'm going to break down our geospatial adventure with Low Carbon Ventures into three main items. At the highest level, we have a concept of how LCV wish to advancing the vision, the lower carbon world. They set the course to focus on reducing the total carbon impact by decreasing operation emission, increasing energy efficiency, and capturing more carbon that we produce. This idea has a multi-level and matrix-like characteristics. To be able to explore more and more information under, around, and above us, the only engine that can make this possible is GIS. The geospatial capabilities of GIS, where we can explore more than what we see or understand at glance. The depth of the tool goes far beyond our imagination and as deep as we need to understand our surroundings. One thing that we all needed to succeed in this new challenge was data. Finding data, manipulating data, sharing data. We had a variety of use cases for some of the concepts LCV was looking into when it came to finding answers to complex questions. We are part of their discovery, planning, and executing decision, and some of these concepts you may already heard about, like using spatial statistics to calculate which plant is the closest to one of our CO2 pipeline, or where in the US we are emitting the most CO2 by utilizing public data sources. In our GIS, we utilize many geoprocessing tools to solve problems and aid the work of the low carbon team. These tools came from the three broad categories such as classification, clustering, and prediction. Within the classification category, we were using maximum likelihood classification to investigate the depth and stratification of the reservoir for sequestration. Another example from clustering, we use the hotspot analysis to locate places that are large CO2 emitters to see how close they are to our infrastructure. From prediction, we use geographically weighted regression to see if indirect emission is increased with proximity to what kind of factories or plants. Many other tools helped us to process large quantity of input point data into meaningful clusters or locations. One of the most fascinating projects we worked on was the so-called CO2 superhighway. There are a small representation of hundreds of data points for factories, plants, mills that has some volume of CO2 emission. So how did we make sense of all this data? And how did we choose the optimal route to our CO2 superhighway to be able to reach as many facilities as possible, or only reach the one that has a certain volume of emission? First, we used the clustering tool to do a hotspot analysis. We try to separate the dataset to meaningful clusters and remove all the noises so we could identify locations where CO2 emission was worth investigating further. We group them by low-cost emitters, qualify for 45Q, which is a tax credit, non-threatened emitters, and large emitters. At the same time, we were looking for already existing pipeline infrastructure just to map out our possibilities. We are also produced a pipeline system with diameter and other specification in case if we need to build one. We utilize our GIS Pro site suitability tool to make sure we design the pipeline in the most suitable way. Then we use the geographically weighted regression tool to recognize what kind of plants are these emitters and what is their emission characteristics. We try to use as many data as possible from different sources and pair them up, analyze them against each other to gain new insight. The result was breathtaking. We were able to shortlist the emitters in a way that the project would reach the highest possible collection, and not only found this location, but we were able to put them on the map with their attributes. So when decision makers opened the Esri Poro operation dashboard, they were able to see the whole concept from start to finish: the hubs, the specific emitters, the pipelines, and on the spot, they were able to do further manipulation by giving them the smart widgets. As Oxy LCVs moves towards its vision of net zero carbon emission, they will continue to utilize GIS solution because of the incredible value it gives them. We use many geospatial tools to make them the industry leader and gain a competitive advantage by leveraging GIS as their fundamental way of doing business. Using classification, clustering, and predictions are just a few tools that we used in this unique project. When I talk about my profession, I always walk away with a new project or a new client. We broke the traditional mold of GIS here at Oxy, and we are moving into this new undiscovered territory with full of curiosity to see what comes next. It's a fascinating world. And if someone asks a question, consider GIS. We can put everybody and everything on the map. Thank you.